If you haven't played Slay the Spire 2 co-op yet, you might not know how OP the multiplayer-only cards are in the game. And it makes sense, right? The game wants to promote teamwork, it wants to show off its fun new toys in the new co-op mode. And although I'm not a crazy high-skilled player, I don't already have Ascension 10 on every class, I have played an insane amount of the co-op. We've done a ton of videos, lots of fun stuff, and so I thought it would be fun to do a tier list ranking all of the multiplayer only cards in the game. So there's actually 10 class multiplayer cards. There's a uncommon and a rare for each class, and then there's 11 colorless cards. So I thought it would be fun to look at them all, look at the upgraded versions, and rank them all on a tier list. So we're gonna jump straight into it here with Demonic Shield. It's the uncommon for Ironclad. We're gonna go through all of the class ones first. And Demonic Shield says lose 1 HP, give another player block equal to your block, and then it exhausts. You can upgrade it to get it off of exhaust, right? It's going to be free. So pretty decent card. Obviously, it's kind of requiring you, for the most part, to do a block build of some sort. Obviously, the losing 1 HP can trigger some of the loss of HP things. But the thing is in my experiences with it, it is very situational because you either, with Ironclad, need to have good block, and then other people need to not have block, but it is free, so it's pretty decent. So, as we go through, I might adjust things, but I'm going to say B tier because I've never been crazy excited to see it, but it does have its uses, and I think it could be pretty cool. Also, we're figuring this out here. There we go, Tank. So this is the rare multiplayer only card for Ironclad. For 1 mana, it's a power, and it says you take double damage from the enemies and allies take half damage from enemies. Upgraded, it's a free power. Now this is another one. I don't know if it's just I haven't played the Ironclad archetypes too much that would promote this, at least in co-op. I've done a lot of shield builds with Ironclad. Obviously that is an archetype that's been here since the first game. It does feel a little bit harder to pull off in this game, but I'm not 100% sure why, if that's just my experience or anything. But in my opinion, we're going to go back here. There we go. In my opinion, it almost feels even harder to use than Demonic Shield, because Demonic Shield, the downside is you just lose 1 HP, right? And it's free. Now, this is free if you upgrade it as a power, right? But in my experience, no Ironclad in our co-op has ever had enough tankiness to full on take all this damage, because you're just gonna die, and maybe you'll die and the other people won't die. And also, I should say, most of the co-op that I've played has either been in 2-player or 4-player. We have done some 5-player if you want to see on our channel with the mod, but I'm actually gonna put the rare at C tier because to me it just feels even riskier. It's even more situational and hard to really want to utilize it, so then we now have Silent. And I don't know if it's just Ironclad has some of the worst multiplayer ones to me, but Silence and especially flanking is one of my favorite in the whole game. So you do have to think about it a little bit, right? So flanking here says the enemy takes double damage from other players this turn. Upgraded, you make it cost 1. Now I have done builds previously in our YouTube series in co-op where as Silent, if you get an absurd cycling build, either with Sly or with card draw, you can play flanking multiple times and it does stack. So if you get multiple of them and you make an enemy take double damage, right, then you do another one that's 4 damage, then 8 damage, then 16 damage. I think I've gotten up to 32 times damage all of the other players are doing. It is very, 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 very good. And so I'm gonna say honestly that flanking is S tier because in my opinion, there's an entire build around it in co-op. And that's one of the things I like about Slay the Spire co-op is there is way more archetypes in multiplayer, right? A whole flanking cycling build's not a build in single player. Now a cycling build is, but this specific build, this is build defining, right? The other shield ones, you could try to do shield and those would be decent, but it doesn't win you the game. Flanking, straight up, I have made bosses take 16 or 32 times damage, and it is insane. So I got to put flanking at S tier. Well, we'll see what else we kind of end up with here, right? So then we have Sneaky, the other silent multiplayer only card. Now this is a power that costs 2 mana. It does have Sly, which, you know, is the awesome mechanic that Silent has in this game, where if it gets discarded, you play it for free. So in an ideal world, this is a free card, but, you know, it does cost 2. And it says, whenever another player attacks an enemy, gain 1 block. And so obviously the more players, the better, right? Upgraded, you then gain 2 block on another enemy. And so this is a card that isn't game breaking, but it is just really good, especially if you can get it off for free. It's one of these cards. Most of these cards get better the more players that exist, right? So we're kind of just assuming that we're talking about like the same player counts when we're comparing all of these and stuff like that. Sneaky here. I think I would put it at A tier because, you know, it does cost 2 mana. It still stays at 2 mana even when you upgrade it. Now it has the Sly, so ideally you have ways to discard beyond just the one starting card in Silent's deck. But I would say it's A tier because once you get it out, you're effectively just, especially if you can get it upgraded. If you're playing with just 2 people, right, that is maybe an extra like 4 to 6 block a turn, which isn't crazy. But you say you're playing 4-player, or people start getting, you know, you say your other person's doing a Shiv deck in Silent or something, or a Claw build, right, with Defect. That could easily just be you're getting 20 block plus every turn, right? So I would easily have to put that A tier. So Silence to me way better than Ironclads, right? So then we have the regions. And the first region here, the region uncommon, Largesse, definitely probably pronouncing these wrong, but 0 mana, another player adds 1 random colorless card to their hand. You upgrade it, and you'll actually be giving upgraded colorless cards to their hand. So unlike a lot of things that generate colorless cards, this doesn't make the colorless card free. So whoever you're giving the card to, they do need to pay the mana cost, or energy cost, I should say, of the card. But colorless cards are really good, and I think they're even better in this game. So I think I would have to probably put it somewhere between A and B tier. I think A tier because colorless cards are really good, and as long as you're communicating, right, sometimes you'll have a friend that's doing a cycling deck or a really small deck, and throwing colorless cards into their deck isn't good, but in general, everybody likes colorless cards, right? If you don't want to play it, you don't play the card, and then yeah, sure, it's polluting your deck, but for the most part, it's good because it is free for you. So I'm like almost wanting to put it in B tier because it just, you know, this is hard. I think I'm actually going to put it in B tier, definitely ahead of Demonic Shield in my opinion, but I don't know. There are a lot of times I've played the game and some players will genuinely not want the colorless cards at all because they're not free. So I'm going to put it in B tier, but I do really like it and it's a fun card. And the second Regent multiplayer only card is Hammer Time, and it's 2 energy, it's a power, and it says whenever you forge, all allies forge as well. And when you upgrade it, it takes a energy cost off of that. And anytime you take an energy cost off of cards, it's very, very good. But if you're doing a forge build or even doing a forge, like slight part of your build, this is one of the strongest cards in the game. We managed to break the game so bad with this card in the first ever multiplayer video we actually recorded on this channel. It is so good. So I genuinely think I would have to put it at S tier because just giving people, like say you have a sword that's 80 damage, right? And giving the blades to all of your friends, and the fact that the Sovereign Blades have retain, so it's not even that they have to have the mana right then, right? And if you upgrade your swords, you're upgrading it for them, so by the time that they're ready, it just goes so hard. Someone throws vulnerable on an enemy and 4 players have an 80 damage Sovereign Blade, the enemy's gonna die. It is so freaking good. And honestly, I think I would have to put it above flanking because of I don't know if it's because of just the way it feels, but it feels easier to play off. Flanking, if you just throw it in a deck and you don't really build a deck around it, it can be decent, right? Double damage. Hammer time, though, I guess is kind of the same thing. If you throw it in a deck and you truly didn't have any other forge, then it would just be decent. But Forge is way more prevalent, I think. And so I just think it's easier to pull off. It's easier to just have as a side, whereas flanking really shines if you build a deck around it. Hammer time obviously shines if you build a deck around it. But even if you just have 1 or 2 or 3 Forge cards, I think it outperforms flanking if you only had a couple, cycling cards, for sure. And also, I do want to give this disclaimer. A lot of this tier list is going off of vibes and feelings, right? Like I said, I don't have Ascension 10 on all the characters. I'm working my way up. I think I'm on average, Ascension 3-ish on all of the characters in single player, and we've made our way up to, Ascension level, I think 5 or 6 in multiplayer. So a lot of this is vibes based, but I think I'm relatively good at figuring this out. But I am curious your guys' thoughts. So let me know in the comments. I'll put a link to this tier list if you guys want to make your own using this template here. But either way, that's the Regent. And so we now have the Necrobinder. So her first card is Legion of Bone, 2 energy. All players summon 6 and you exhaust it. And if you upgrade it, it's all players summon 8. So honestly, not the most overwhelming of an upgrade, but I love this card. This card is really good, right? Summon is obviously referring to, Asti, and just, it's almost like you can think of it like permanent block, because if you have any other Necrobinders on your team, then they might actually be able to do something with the summon. They might have some cards that deal damage based off of it. But ultimately, this is just a bare bones default. It is give all of my friends temporary, permanent, kind of health for the combat, because say they're not being attacked that turn, well, it could still protect you on future turns, but then you still get the summon 6. And I think we're going to talk about it a lot more when we go to the colorless cards. But one of the things that I look for in a multiplayer card, selfishly, is does it help you immediately? Because some of the cards that we're going to look at do not help you at all. They only help other teammates. And so the fact that this card, Legion of Bones, helps you as the Necrobinder by building up your summon, you might have some synergies with it, and then gives permanent shield to everyone else, I think makes it really, really good. It's hard to decide where I want it because I don't think it's the best, most OP card, but I think it's a card that anyone that sees it and is playing Necrobinder in a familiar build, or in a multiplayer build, is probably going to take it. Now that goes true for a lot of the multiplayer cards, but I think I'm going to put it A tier, because I don't think that this is one of the most OP builds, right? It's not build defining like Hammer Time or flanking or anything like that, but it is just a solid feel good card for everyone around. It's always fun for everybody, for you to pop up four Osties or whatever. And I think objectively, it's probably still worse than Sneaky. I think Sneaky inherently gets you more value by it being a power, but I do think it's really good. I think it definitely deserves A tier for sure. And so the next Necrobinder card we have is Glimpse Spot Beyond. So it is a 1 energy skill. All players add 3 souls into their draw pile and you exhaust it. If you upgrade it, you add 4 souls. Now, if you don't know what a soul is, they're these 0 cost draw 2 cards. Very, very good. Necrobinder soul builds are so freaking good. And this is another card that once again benefits the player that plays it, because Necrobinder, first of all, everybody can use card draw. Every single person, right? Especially free card draw. And it just adds so many of them. 4 souls in your draw pile, that's a lot of card draw, right? You can only play it once, with it being exhausted. But on top of that, the Necrobinder has a lot of built-in soul synergy. And so I think for sure, this is one of the best cards in the game, because for 1 mana, it is so freaking cheap. It is so cheap, and I have everybody loves souls, and it's so many. Honestly, I was debating on putting this at the beginning of A tier. I think I gotta put it S tier. I really do, because it's once again not something that's going to game break. It's not game defining or anything like that. But if you just look at the raw amount of value of the Necrobinder herself, getting the synergies of the souls, or just having more card draw. Sorry. And all of the other players getting a ton of card draw. I think I got to put that at S tier, right? 100%. And so then we have the defects. The last class, these are the last two class multiplayer cards here. And we have Energy Surge. All players gain 2 energy exhaust, and when you upgrade it, all players gain 3 energy. Now I'm gonna just say right off the bat, like easily, this is in S tier. In what way, we'll figure out here. But I think Energy Surge is straight up one of the best multiplayer cards in the entire game, because energy is just obviously one of the most valuable resources. We're talking about how card draw is really good, and then obviously damage. A lot of these things are doing damage or block. This is the first multiplayer card that we have looked at so far. There's some colorless ones that give energy. And the reason I think it's so good is, once again, it's a card that gives you value. So if you upgrade it and it gives you 3 mana, you're the defect that's playing it, you are netting 2 mana just by itself, which in itself is decent. A card that would give you 2 mana, those cards exist in the game, right? They're good. And so the fact that you give it to everyone else is amazing. Like, honestly, oh man, it's hard for me to decide if it is the best or if I think Hammer Time is the best. I think I'm going to put it as the second, because it is just so consistently good, once again, if we're talking about value. But I think Hammer Time, in the builds that Hammer Time excels at, it can truly be one of the most OP parts of the game, because if someone else doesn't have a competent build, they have a Sovereign Blade build now. They just play your Sovereign Blade and you can win. So I think I have to put it second, but that's a hard decision for me to make, honestly. So the second then defect multiplayer card is a mana card, right? It's 1 energy, ignition. Another player channels plasma and it exhausts. If you upgrade it, you can get rid of exhaust. So this is still really good. You're giving players mana. The thing is you are not benefiting yourself by doing this at all. But on the plus side is, if you guys don't know, right, the defect has 3 orb slots by default. All of the other characters technically have 1. So if you give a player the plasma, they will have 1 orb slot, so they'll be able to just have 1 mana for the rest of their turns. So what that ends up causing, though, is when I have taken this card in my multiplayer runs, there are a lot of turns that does not get played. And so the times that it's good, right, is when you're playing against an elite, you're fighting a boss, and you are going to be in a longer fight, because giving, your friends 1 permanent energy for all of their future turns is good, but it doesn't provide you any value. It doesn't provide the other people that you're even giving it to. It doesn't even help them that turn. It helps them all future turns. So it is so delayed and only really good for long fights. And so I think I actually need to put it in B tier. Definitely better than Demonic Wall. And I don't know. It's hard to decide. I mean, you never know, because it just depends on the RNG of colorless cards. But I think the colorless card generation, because it's free for at least the person that plays the card, I think it's got to be better, because it's just, oh, well, maybe you'll play this if you also have Energy Surge and can give yourself other energy. But that's because just how much better, right, I think Energy Surge is than this, which is kind of funny, right? We're looking at this multiple times. In terms of the Ironclads cards, I think the uncommon is better than the rare. For the Silent, I think the uncommon is better than the rare. Not for the Necrobinder, and not for the Regent. But, because we put Regents down here. But but for the defect, though, uncommon better than the rare. So those are all of the class cards, and now we have 11 colorless cards to look at. So there are 7 uncommon colorless cards and then 4 rares. So the first colorless card that we're going to look at is Believe in You. Another player just gains 3 energy. Upgraded, they gain 4. Very good. That is a lot of energy, and this card is also free. Now, it doesn't provide the user any benefit, right? But it makes up for it in the obscene amount of energy that you would gain playing this card, right? So I definitely think that this needs to be A tier, 100%. And I actually think it's probably above Legion of Bones because of the fact, right, that just energy. Energy is so good. It is so good. It also doesn't exhaust. So you can just keep making other players have absolutely insane turns. And I think the only reason that I'm going to keep Sneaky higher up is just because it is a power. You can effectively play it for free if you're doing correct things with the silent. And so just getting passive 15 to 20 block a turn in an ideal situation, I do think outclasses energy. But the energy, I think that's one of the best cards, hands down. Hands down. And so the next one we have then is Coordinate. It costs 1 mana. And you give another player 5 strength this turn. Upgraded, you give another player 8 strength this turn. So once again, we're talking about some insane value between 1 mana and 8 strength. Now, the reason I think this card is just decent, I don't think it's bad at all, right? Mostly these multiplayer cards are all overtuned a little bit, and I think that's totally fine, right? If you're playing a multiplayer mode, I love everybody being excited about multiplayer only cards, right? On the Niao, sometimes you can get offered 1 of 3 multiplayer cards every time in one of my videos or when I'm playing just with friends. Anytime someone gets that, we're picking it, right? Multiplayer cards are so fun, so OP. It's fun being a team player, right? So Coordinate is really cool. The problem is, one, you're not always going to have friends that are running builds that use strength, right? As an example, if your friend is doing, or friends are playing the defect, now if they're doing a claw build, this would actually be really good. But if they're doing the anything to do with orbs, which you tend to do a lot on the defect, orbs aren't going to help with strength, right? If someone is playing the Necrobinder and they're doing a Osti build, Osti doesn't use strength. That's one of the reasons there's a lot of the Necrobinder cards that will just have you lose strength because it doesn't matter because you're using Osti. Like Osti's strength is what matters there. So with all that said and done, it kind of falls into the lane of being a little bit too situational for me. I don't think this is bad. This is a very good card. I think objectively, this is more consistent than a lot of these cards. I think I would put it second in B tier because obviously you're going to take it in a run that's good. Like if your friend is running a Shiv deck, right? Or like I said, a claw build as the defect, right? If you take this in certain builds, it could be God tier, which like that it's hard to decide, right? Just when we're talking about generalization, because if you take it and you have a defect claw friend and you have a Shiv silent friend and you have like a low cost like ironclad build or something, this is really good. I think the only reason that I am going to put it in B tier instead of A tier is simply because not only do you have to worry about the situationalness of are your friends actually running the cards or, builds that strength will work with, right? But on top of that, say they are, perfect opportunity, right? You need to draw that card when they're ready to go off, right? So say you have a friend that's doing the claw build, right? And they just don't have a good turn or they need to block a lot. This card's worthless. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of times where you don't want to actually play that card at all. So I think I'll put it at B with the caveat that if you have it, it's very good. If you have the optimal conditions for it and everything like that, and then you can get lucky, drawing it. But that's that. The next one, I think we're still on beta art here. I think this is maybe the only one with beta art. We are in early access, right? This is just the launch version and the beta branch, right? There might be some changes. There might be some more multiplayer cards. So if there are, let me know in the comments down below. But either way, right now, Gang Up says for 1 energy, it's an attack that deals 5 damage and it deals 5 additional damage for each time another player has attacked the enemy turn. So and then upgraded, that's actually doing 7 additional damage. So by default, you're doing 5 damage. Not too bad. I mean, not good, but not terrible, right? And the upside is, especially if you're playing in a bigger lobby, this could go hard. And it is the type of card that could be build defining, right? First of all, it could just be decent, right? So if you're playing with a lot of people, this is just going to be a consistent amount of damage almost all the time. It is almost always going to be solid. But there are runs where I have seen Gang Up in my runs do like over like hundreds of damage. Like this can get crazy. Once again, say you have a Shiv Silent or a Claw Defect or things like that, or someone's just going crazy with, you know, free colorless cards or something like that. And so I definitely think this would need to be one of the stronger cards. I think we're going to put it in A tier. I don't think it deserves S tier. I don't think it's like one of the crazy most broken cards. I definitely think it deserves A tier. And I think it's a little bit better than Beacon of Hope, because Beacon of Hope is just solid, good, almost always happy to see it. Gang Up can be build defining. It can do hundreds of damage. I don't know. I'm almost tempted to put it over the energy. I still think the fact that Sneaky has Sly and you can pretty much play Sneaky for free in an ideal world, I think is going to make it better. But I do think Gang Up probably would be A tier for my money. We then have Tag Team, which is 2 mana, deal 11 damage as an attack. The next attack another player plays on the enemy is actually played in extra time. Now you upgrade that and it just does 15 more damage. So not a very exciting upgrade. 4 more damage is decent. It is an expensive card, I will say that. So I think just the price, the cost of casting this card is pretty high. Now, this could be one of the most OP cards in the game, right? You have a friend that's doing any big attacks or like a Sovereign Blade attack or having any of the other multiplayer cards, you know, there's a lot of really good shenanigans you can do. And this could easily just do hundreds of damage, but it is all reliant on the other players. And it just 2 energy is a lot. I think this card is really good. It has the potential, like a lot of these cards, to be absolutely busted. But I do think that you need to situationally think about it a lot harder. Now, there was a time, I think I'm going to put it really high up in B tier. And the only reason being that it doesn't make it to A tier, in my opinion, is because I've played a lot of co-op runs where people have taken Tag Team, and it's just really hard to coordinate because it's 2 energy. So if the enemy is doing a big attack and you need to be blocking more, sometimes 2 energy is more than, you know, could really be used. And then once again, you have to deal with, are you going to draw a Tag Team when someone else draws their card that they're actually wanting to double? Now, if the people, you know, someone has a Sovereign Blade and you can plan that a lot better because Sovereign Blade has Retain, then great. But I think it is just situationally a lot harder to use. And so in the comparison of all of these other things, I definitely think it would just be B tier. So the next one here we have is Huddle Up. So this is all allies draw 3 cards. Upgrade, or sorry, 2 cards, and then upgraded, everybody draws 3 cards. Now, as we were talking about with a lot of the other cards, Huddle Up does not give you any cards, right? You're just helping your other allies, but card draw is really, really good. The thing you have to kind of worry about is, do people need card draw in this exact moment? So you're always going to have to be coordinating with your, teammates. In my games, Huddle Up has been drawn and taken quite a lot. It's, like most of these multiplayer cards, it's hard to pass up the multiplayer cards in general because of how much value, especially when you're playing bigger lobbies like 4 players and, stuff. But Huddle Up doesn't help you, and you also have to very situationally see if the other people could take it. Because in my runs, I've had people be like, oh, Huddle Up, but everybody's either already used their mana or, they don't draw the cards that they need. But card draw, it's hard to ever be like mad at card draw. I just think it kind of falls in the somewhat situational. And so I think it would go B tier. I definitely think better than the shield, honestly, better than the energy, because you are inherently helping everyone besides yourself instead of just one player, and immediately, right? Once again, Ignition only helps one person on a future turn. I do think I'll put it above Coordinate, because once again, I think this is more often, like, there'll be more situations where it's useful than Coordinate. And then in terms of colorless cards, I don't know. I do genuinely think colorless cards are really strong, and the fact that card is free to play, I think would set us up there. So we have 2 more uncommon cards here. The next one here is Intercept. For 1 energy, you gain 9 block, and you redirect all incoming attacks that would be dealt to another player this turn to you. And if you upgrade it, you're actually gaining 13 block. So this is providing you immediate value, but then it's almost effectively taking it away because you're going to be tanking for some other person. Now, this is very similar to the demonic shield kind of thing that Ironclad has. And I think it is, you're only blocking for 1 person. But there's just a lot of times where that's hard to do. Like, if someone is really struggling, then this can be good. And it can just be good every now and then. You know, you more often than not, I've taken Intercept in my runs, and more often than not, you're just kind of like helping, prevent 4 or 5 damage. But like, you still have to be the one to take it. It's still getting taken. You do get a lot of block from that card. But I don't think it is like crazy special. It's cool, it's unique, it's a multiplayer card. Just from all of my experiences, like, someone in your party is still taking the damage, and effectively you're almost all sharing your health in a way. In a good team, right? If someone's really hurt and low, well, then maybe they'll heal themselves at a campfire and someone will have to mend them, right? So if I'm taking the damage for you, the damage is still getting taken. Now, so you really have to look at like the block. I do think it provides a solid amount of value, especially if you do have a block build. Like, if you have a block build, this can be a solid block card. Definitely doesn't belong in A. I don't think I would feel good putting it into C. So I think I would put it in B. Now the question is, do I think I think honestly, because demonic shield, right? Lose 1 HP, give another player block equal to your block. You know what? Now that I'm looking at this, I am actually going to put demonic shield over here. I think demonic shield might actually be more consistent than I was giving it credit. I do think it would be better than just giving people strength or plasma, because you lose 1 HP. Yeah, you need to like have a block build or whatever, but it's just free, lose 1 HP, which could be good for you to give someone your block. I'm actually gonna, I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna put that there. I'm tempted to actually increase this, right? I definitely don't think it deserves an A tier. I think I will. I don't know. I think card draw is just more consistent. So with that said, where do I think Intercept belongs? I don't know. Is it worse than Plasma? I'll put it in between. I don't really know. I'm a bit iffy with this because it's hard. It's hard to take enemy hits for people. And like I said, I truly believe everybody's kind of sharing the same health pool. The fact that especially when it's upgraded, it gives you so much block, definitely helps. And then so for the last uncommon card that we have here, we have Lift. So Lift is just 1 energy, skill, give another player 11 block, or give another player 16 block. So this is even more than the other card, right? Obviously. And you don't have to take their hit for them, but you're not getting any block. So it's almost the same exact card, but I think it's just more straightforward. It's easier to figure out like the math and things like that. And it's just, I think it's easier to just give someone block if they don't have it, especially if you know someone's really struggling, than trying to do something where you get block and then you're taking hits, because you can always be like, okay, 16 block, right? I'm giving it. But when you're like, oh, I'll take damage for you. Well, what if the hit is doing 30? Like you need to make sure you can take this. So there's, I think, a couple more situations in which this is better. So I definitely think it's above Intercept. Honestly, I think it's better than the getting strength. I think there's more situations where you would just want to blanket give someone block. I genuinely think it's better than Demonic Shield, because Demonic Shield sucks if you yourself don't have any block. And I think it's probably pretty equal in my opinion to Huddle Up. Honestly, I think Huddle Up, giving people Huddle Up helps all allies. Lift is only helping 1, so I think Huddle Up would be more. So we have 4 more cards left, and now we're dealing with the rare colorless multiplayer cards here. So some of the coolest here. And so first we have Mimic. 1 energy. Gain block equal to the block on another player. So there's a lot of cards that deal with block on other players, but they all kind of do it in different ways. When you upgrade it, it takes away exhaust. Now, I think Mimic is one of the best multiplayer cards in the game because if anyone has a decent way to gain block, or even if you then maybe like give someone block and then you use this, right? There's multiple ways to do it, but this just scales so well because late game, a lot of good decks will have ways to get absurd amounts of block. So especially if you're playing with, a higher group, you have a lot of choices every turn, and it is a card that immediately helps you. And so I think Mimic, honestly, is one of the best cards in the game. I think, oh man, this is hard to decide if I'm putting it S tier. I think it's just because most of the time, especially if you're late game, you draw this card, and as long as most likely someone has a solid amount of block, you're going to be able to block an entire hit. I think it probably goes behind Sneaky here. I don't know, man. Gang Up is really good too, though. Gang Up can be build defining. Like this can't it's more just like helping defend, and if you defend yourself, then you can do all of the things that you need to not to kill the enemies. So defense is just as important, right, to an extent. But I think the fact that Gang Up can be build defining probably would make me put it above Mimic, but I do think Mimic definitely deserves A tier, 100%. We then have Rally, which is a fun card because it's something that's helping everybody. All players, yourself included, get 12 block for 12 energy. Upgraded, we're talking about 17 block. So say you've got 4 players, that's like over 70 block total for 2 mana, which is insane. So this is like a lot of the other cards that are talking about all players. It's really going to depend on how many players are actually in your run. But even if you had 2, 2 for 2 mana, both players gaining 17 block, not as good as 4 players, but still very, very, very good. So I think I would put that, honestly, I think that's more consistent than Legion of Bones, right? Legion of Bones, the summon is permanent. There's something to be said about that. But I think Rally, the fact that it's protecting you, I think I probably would put it over Legion of Bones. I think energy is always going to be more, and I think Mimic, you can get obscene amounts of block, but Rally is just consistently such a good card. And so we have 2 more here. We have Knockdown. I believe this is beta art here as well, so obviously some of these might change. 3 energy attack, deal 10 damage, and the enemy takes double damage from other players this turn. And if you upgrade it, it is a substantial upgrade because not only does it do a little bit more damage, but the enemies then take triple damage from other players. Now, I believe from experimentation, there are some things that don't work, right? Orbs don't do triple damage. I want to say, let me know in the comments if I'm incorrect, but I want to say it has to specifically be coming from the player. I think that means Asti might triple. Honestly, I can't remember. Let me know in the comments down below. But we've taken this a couple times. Obviously, the hard part of this card is it is 3 mana. 3 energy, right? Whatever. I'm a Magic player back in the day. 3 energy is very hard to play. It's very hard to budget for. Now, if you have things like Hot Cocoa or, other people are giving you energy via multiplayer cards, or you're doing a build that can cheat out attacks, this card is insane, especially upgrading it, right? Triple damage is a lot. So it is a card that I think is for sure build defining. It definitely deserves to be somewhere in A, maybe S tier. I think the hard part from it is, right, you have flanking, which can be 1 energy. The enemy takes double damage from other players, right? This just still costs 3 energy, and you can get it up to triple, right? You can, and it does a little bit of damage, but I think it's worse than flanking. I mean, maybe if you just get it for yourself in a big expensive deck, I honestly probably would oh man, it's hard for me to decide if this is S tier because the 3 energy is hard to get by. Like a lot of the times, unless you have crazy energy builds, and even if you do, it's like you're playing this and then maybe like 1 defense card if you need, or if they're not attacking, then maybe 1 more offense card. But like, once again, it's hard to not put these scaling cards not high up here, because scaling in multiplayer is one of the biggest ways you break the game, right? Everybody gets Sovereign Blades, and then you triple the damage, and now you're having everyone just do 300 damage, and then someone stacked Vulnerable, and then someone had it where vulnerable enemies take more damage. Like, that's how you break multiplayer. So I think I would put it S tier just because of how build defining it can be and how valuable doubling and tripling values are. But it's an expensive card. It really is an expensive card, which is making me, man, I don't know, man. You know what? I'm going to do something. I'm going to shake it up. We're going to do some last minute shakeups here. I think I'm going to move Sneaky to S. I think we're going to put that to S once again because of the fact that it feels like an almost infinite value card, right? You're just kind of permanently, for the rest of the fight, getting a very solid amount of block for free, ideally for free with Sly. And I think Knockdown's just very expensive. So I'm actually going to, it feels weird. I don't know to put Gang Up before. I think Gang Up is just more consistent. Like spending 1 energy is so consistent. Wait for everybody to do their turn. 60, 70 damage. You got to have a plan. Everybody's got to actually be on board. So I'm going to put Knockdown as 2 because I still think it's really build defining, but I think it's hard to get off. And we have 1 final card, arguably one of my favorite multiplayer cards here in the game, and it is Beacon of Hope. If you've seen my the co-op videos we've done, you know we've kind of broken the game with Beacon of Hope too. Beacon of Hope is 1 energy power. Whenever you gain block on your turn, other players gain half that much block. If you upgrade it, it starts with innate, which is insane. So first of all, 1 energy is almost nothing. For a power, 1 energy, easy peasy, right? And it doesn't help you at all, but it, for the rest of the fight, is like if you even have a small amount of block, Beacon of Hope out of all of these cards here, genuinely, I think, gives you more block than anything else. This is a definite S tier, 100% S tier. Definitely above Sneaky, definitely above the Souls. Honestly, I'll put it over Flanking. I'll be the madman and I'll put it over Flanking because I think Flanking, you kind of can build around it. Beacon of Hope fits in almost every deck. Unless you have no block, it almost fits in every deck. And it stacks if you have, multiple Beacon of Hopes, then you could give 100%. Now in the earliest versions of Slay the Spire, if multiple players had Beacon of Hope, and had 2 copies of Beacon and Hope, you could actually get infinite. You cannot get infinite anymore. You can't soft lock, but you can still scale off of each other. So if I have a Beacon of Hope and someone else has a Beacon of Hope, or say I have like 2 Beacon of Hope, I get 8 block. I have 2 Beacon of Hope. So I give 8 block to everybody else. Someone else had a Beacon of block. So then they give 4 block to everybody, which just gave me 4 block. So I give 2 block to everybody, which they then got 2 block. So they give 1 block to me, and so it rounds down. But like Beacon of Hope is, to me, almost like an infinite value card. It is 1 energy, and and you're not getting any immediate value in that turn, but getting it to start with innate is huge. Huge. One of the better upgrades in this. And the fact that it scales so well with other players definitely makes it S tier. So I think I'm pretty confident with this here. Obviously, the only card here was Tank, the take double damage from enemies, but allies take half damage from enemies. Because also that's a power, that's not a skill. Like that's on for the rest of the fight. You feel like you're going to be dying from it. So, I feel like this video is already way longer than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think me talking about this was gonna be this long. But like I said, even though I'm not like the highest tier level player or whatever, I've played a lot of multiplayer. We have done, I believe at this point, over 10 to 11 co-op runs of Slay the Spire, trying out all sorts of things, trying to all take as many multiplayer cards as we can to break the game, to doing fun challenges like 4 defects, 4 necrobinders, 4 regents, 4 ironclad, 4 silent, 4 defect, with claws. Like, we've done so many fun builds. We've just put out 5-player co-op videos with some other content creators using the mod that allows for more players. And so I just felt like, I've taken all of these cards many a time. I've seen my friends take them, and just from the general vibes we get, I think this is a pretty solid list. So I would, for real, love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know if I had a horrible take and you super disagree with me. I'll put a link to this tier list in the description down below if you want to, I don't know, do it with your friends or whatever, if you care. But let me know. Also, if you want to see, if you like multiplayer cards, you'll probably like multiplayer runs, and that is most of our Let's Play content here on Slay the Spire. So if you haven't watched any of those, I really think you would enjoy. First 4 or 5 videos in the playlist are single player, us checking out all the classes, and then we get into multiplayer goodness. So, check those out if you want. Make sure you subscribe, ring that bell like what the big boy YouTubers say, to be notified. Let me know if you like this tier list video. I'm trying to do more edited content on this channel. I want to do some Peglin tier lists as well. If you want to see more Slay the Spire tier lists, let me know. Just trying to do fun stuff. So definitely would appreciate any feedback, especially if you're someone that's watched other, content creators do tier lists. I would love the feedback. But, go check out all the Slay the Spire videos. And if you're going to be grinding out some Slay the Spire on your own, then I wish you luck, and I'll see you all next time.